Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hailey Johnston. I'm a founder and the board chair of the Common Market Philadelphia, and we are a nonprofit local food distribution company that serves and protects and connects small, family, sustainable growers in the Philadelphia region with underserved communities and the institutions that serve them. And I'd like to share a little bit today about the story of how we were founded and how we came to be. It started about 9 years ago. My wife and I were looking for a community to raise our family. We were pursuing the American dream, hoping to find a place to call home. And we settled upon the community of Strawberry Mansion in North Philadelphia. A beautiful neighborhood, rich in African-American culture and history, gorgeous architecture, right next to Fairmount Park. But a community that had suffered the ravages of many years of population decline, beginning after World War II, the departure of manufacturing jobs, years of racist lending practices, redlining, years of drug wars, and finally a food system that had failed our community and others like it. So despite our evocative name, we are a beautiful community that also has its challenges. And when my wife and I moved there, we decided that if this was going to be the place that we were going to raise our children, that we were going to have to do something about it. So we set about working with our neighbors, working with kids on our block, working with other kids in our community, doing the little things to change. Started planting community gardens, cleaning up some of these vacant lots, reclaiming this land, planting over 800 trees in the course of seven years, and starting nutrition education programs. And we had a lot of successes. We could really feel the difference when you walk down the street in our community. But something wasn't right. We knew something was still amiss, and ultimately our community was not healed. Around that time, actually, Mariana Chilton released a report that gave numbers to what we were seeing on a daily basis, that we had in our community some of the highest incidence of chronic and diet-related disease, not just in Philadelphia, but in the country. And we started to understand why we were seeing gentlemen who were my age becoming amputees, why we were seeing kids younger than us walking around with inhalers, unable to participate in physical activity. And true to our nature, my wife and I said, you know, this challenge, this food system that's failed us, there has to be a way that we can change it and change the course of health in our community. We knew this problem didn't start in our neighborhood, so we knew we had to look outside of it for answers. So we started engaging others, people who were working on local food promotion, people who were working on food access issues, people who were organizing farmers markets in Philadelphia, people who were doing nutrition education programs, and began speaking to them. And everybody was facing a common challenge at that time. There was common themes that emerged, and we recognized that, you know, on one hand, we had communities and people in neighborhoods like ours who were literally dying because they could not access good food. And on the other side, in the farm communities right outside of Philadelphia, you had family farmers who were struggling because they could not get their food efficiently to market in a way that was fair to them. So collectively, we sought to rebuild this local infrastructure, connect these communities like ours and institutions to the farmers in our region, and with the idea that perhaps we could create a system that was mutually beneficial, mutually supportive, and actually started to return vitality to the two sides of the value chain or the food chain. And then the common market was born. This idea of creating and rebuilding this food infrastructure, building relationships between these communities, and bringing food from small family farmers into schools and institutions in the Philadelphia area. The funny thing about running a food distribution company is it's one of these things that has become really exciting to a lot of people and sexy in many ways, but we are where the rubber meets the road. It is a process of working with farmers, logistics and distribution, running trucks, coolers, cold storage, contracts and negotiations, and all of the work that happens behind the scenes to get good food to people. And we've had a ton of success. We're in our third years of operations at this point. And the Common Market this year will sell over $1 million of local food, which has been quite an accomplishment for us that we're very proud of. We've also begun to represent nearly 100 farmers in our region, 100 farmers, and connecting them to almost 100 schools, many of them public schools in South Jersey and in Philadelphia. And it's been an amazing journey, an amazing journey. And while we've had many successes, we've kind of come to this realization that we've had success in getting the good food into institutions, but we had fallen short on our goal of impacting access in communities like ours. We still were struggling to realize, like, how could we get this food directly into households? How could we have household level impact on good food? And so we've most recently started a new program called Farm to Faith. And the idea here is very similar to what a traditional CSA looks like, community supported agriculture program, but much more focused on a sort of balance of benefit. And the way we describe it is community and agriculture supporting each other, working with faith-based institutions, faiths of all stripes, mosques, churches, as well as synagogues, to utilize infrastructure within communities where we haven't been fortunate enough to get supermarkets and there aren't good corner stores in our community, and working with the leaders of these places to get this good food into these faith-based institutions. So the idea is that here we have places that have infrastructure, have strong leadership, actually have a culture of bringing people together around food, have a culture of volunteerism, and increasingly a focus on the health and well-being of the people who attend, and working with them to create this program and get the good food back into our neighborhood so that we can actually have this impact on the household, on the family, and start to reverse some of these challenges that we all face in our communities. I'm excited to share our story with you today because our story actually, and this project and this innovation actually came from Strawberry Mansion, one of the communities that we hear talked about in rooms like this a lot of the times. And my challenge to you, and actually my invitation to all of you, is to engage communities like Strawberry Mansion and think outside the box and look to communities where these challenges are taking place for new and innovative answers. And take a risk on a project like the Common Market, because we're having impact. And I think with your help, we can begin to rebuild regional food systems and reverse some of this chronic disease and challenges that our community faces. So thank you very much.